Henry W. Steele here. I'm making this video to explain a method that I use to use price action itself to scale a chart. The market that I'm going to use as an example is the US dollar Japanese yen 4-hour chart. This is, if we look at it, we scroll left and right here, we see that the chart adjusts itself, adjusts the scale so that all the price action fits into the time that the chart shows. And this can be good to get an overview quickly, but when you're trying to make forecasts geometrically or using angles and so forth to make your forecasts with, it becomes bothersome because the scale is constantly changing. So the first thing we need to do is, this is the MetaTrader 4 platform, so we right click on the chart itself, click on properties, go to the common tab, and then click scale fix. And what this does is keep our scale what we set it at. So whatever the scale's at right now, it will stay at regardless of where we scroll it. And when we make forecasts geometrically or with lines and angles, we really need our scale to stay the same. Excuse me. And in the MT4 platform, this is the way to do it. Other platforms, you can actually put angles on and such, and it will keep the angle the same slope, but not necessarily the same angle in degrees. So it's really best to go ahead and freeze the scale that you have on the chart to keep things the simplest. Now, once we've frozen the scale, we can go ahead and find a high or low. And this is the current chart as of today, which is Friday, September 20th, 2013. This is the most recent price action. And we see that the most significant recent low is right here, this low right here. So we're going to go ahead and start with that. And what we're going to do, it's pretty simple, just get a horizontal line, place it under there like that, excuse me, and then find the swing top to this low. Because we're using a low to start with, we need to find the next top afterwards, which is right here. And as a result, we click right there, and then we have now enclosed the price action between these two horizontal lines. The next thing we want to do is put a trend line by angle right here and adjust it to 78.7 degrees. Excuse me. Sorry about my voice. I'm getting over a cold, so it's a little bit strained. So right now we have this 78.7 degree angle right here. Excuse me. And you may be curious as to why 78.7 degrees. The answer is quite simple. If we take 90 degrees, which is 1/4 of a circle, and divide that 90 degrees by 8, each eighth of the 90 degrees is 11.25 degrees. So if we take that 90 degrees and subtract 11.25 degrees, we get 78.75 degrees. The reason I use 78.7 degrees is because in the MT4 platform, it only has a precision of tenths of a degree, so it wouldn't matter if I put the 5 in there. So this line right here is 7/8 of 90 degrees. So once we put that line in there, we need to go ahead and drag on the vertical scale right here, the price scale, until our angle right here coincides with this line, which shows the top of the trend right there. So this node right here is what we want to create with this angle. So the top of our swing right here coincides with our angle code with this line right here. Excuse me. Now once we've done that, we've scaled this chart, this price action, to, excuse me once again, we've scaled this chart by the price action to this particular scale. Now if we look at it closely, we see that the chart right here looks compressed. Looks, it's more difficult to see. So one thing that we can do is divide this, look at this up here, divide 11.25 by 2, and we get 5.625 degrees. Now that is 1/16 of 90 degrees. So if we take 90 degrees and subtract 5.625, excuse me, we get 84.4 degrees roughly, averaged. So if we put 84.4 degrees in. Click OK. And then we adjust our scale again so these two lines intersect. We see that it is much more easy to see. It doesn't necessarily mean that this is exactly the appropriate scale to use for this particular market, but the basic idea is if you'll take 90 degrees and divide it by half, quarters, eighths, sixteenths, 30-seconds, and so forth, that eventually you'll be able to, with some trial and error, be able to find out which scale or which ratio works the best for any particular market. Now, that's the basic idea of scaling the chart using price action itself. I will give you one little clue though. Usually what I do, and this works for the Japanese, US dollar, Japanese yen, it works for the euro, it tends to work for the pound, cable. What I'll do is, if I go ahead and set this angle back to 7/8, I keep 7/8 as my starting angle, or 78.7 degrees. I come down. If my chart is compressed like this, what I'll do is actually use a different starting point for my angle, but keep the price range the same. Now this is what I mean. This market is too compressed to look at and use very easily, so what I'll do is find the swing that happened before this. In other words, we have the current swing right here, but if we look in previous price history, we see that there was a top right here, and we'll go ahead and put this vertical line right there to mark that point. Now what I'll do is I'll move this angle line and start it at this point in time, but I'll leave the price range set to our current swing that we measured right here. After that, I adjust the scale just like so, so that this becomes the chart that I'm working with, and that's the scale that I'll use to make my forecasts with. Now I'm not going to go into how I use, what geometry I use to make the forecasts, but this is the method that I use to scale the chart when I use geometric methods to make forecasts in time. The last thing that I'll mention really quickly is just the fact that when you make geometric forecasts, you use angles and so forth, you need to keep in mind that your forecasting changes in trend, and the market can trend up and it can trend down just like here, but keep in mind that it can also trend sideways, like right here, and right here. So excuse me, when you make a forecast, that forecast can pinpoint not just tops and bottoms, but it can also pinpoint points in time when the market starts to go sideways, or when the market stops going sideways and starts trending up and down again. So that's one thing to keep in mind. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you find it useful somehow, and I will talk to you later.